Remember when Donald Trump said his supporters would get tired of winning? Yeah, he just lost in court again today. He'd filed a counter-defamation suit against E. Jean Carroll, who was recently awarded $5 million, arguing that her claims were false or not at least substantially true, which is the legal standard. The issue at hand here is that a jury found Trump liable of battery and abuse, but not liable for rape, to which E. Jean Carroll told CNN, quote, "Oh yes he did, oh yes he did." That was the basis for Trump's countersuit, but Judge Kaplan dismissed it, writing, "Indeed, the jury's verdict in Carroll 2 establishes as against Mr. Trump the fact that Mr. Trump raped her, albeit digitally, meaning with his fingers. Thus, it establishes against him the substantial truth of Ms. Carroll's rape accusations." This loss comes in the aftermath of a string of other losses in this case in particular. Weeks ago, Trump had requested a new trial in the E. Jean Carroll defamation case, calling the $5 million award for Carroll a, quote, "seriously erroneous result." Judge Kaplan denied his request for a new trial, saying the jury in this case did not reach a seriously erroneous result, and that its verdict was not a miscarriage of justice, which means that Donald Trump will not only have to pay the $5 million that he was seeking to get decreased or eliminated, but he'll also have to look forward to the next trial against the same plaintiff in front of the same judge for a not entirely dissimilar complaint. Which is not to say that Carroll is all but assured victory, but yeah, she's pretty much all but assured victory. And bear in mind, this case is going to be all the more difficult for Donald Trump given the fact that just weeks ago, he issued new defamatory claims against E. Jean Carroll after the DOJ withdrew itself from defending him in court. He'd taken to Truth Social, writing, "The DOJ will not defend me in the E. Jean Carroll civil case, which is all part of the political witch hunt, lawyered up by a political operative who I just beat in another case, financed by a big political funder, and judged by a Clinton appointee who truly hates Trump. The statements I made about Carroll are all true. I have no idea who she is, what she looks like, or anything about her. The net result of this horrible injustice, where a completely unknown to me woman made up a ridiculous story, wrote it in a book to increase publicity and sales. I correctly disputed the story and got sued for defamation, whereupon a hostile judge and jury shockingly awarded a woman I don't know, have never known, and don't want to know $5 million. We are strongly appealing this travesty of justice." As I mentioned, that new temper tantrum was set off by the development that the DOJ would not substitute itself in as the defendant for Trump's second defamation case against Carroll. When Bill Barr was Attorney General under Trump, he allowed the DOJ to do so under this baffling assertion that everything Trump did while in office was acting within the scope of his duties as president, even apparently attacking his abuse victim. But under Merrick Garland, the DOJ eventually reversed that decision because clearly defaming E. Jean Carroll was not within the scope of Donald Trump's presidential duties. And the fact that this was ever even a question goes to show what a dumpster fire Bill Barr's Department of Justice was. And so because the DOJ won't be defending Trump in this upcoming defamation trial, it'll be up to Trump and his team to defend him, which is a tall order considering, as I mentioned earlier, he was already found liable once for defamation, and the comments at issue in this second trial are virtually identical. And of course, the case was also recently amended to include comments that Trump made during a CNN town hall, which will not only bolster Carroll's already airtight case against him, but will almost assure that the damages she's awarded will be even higher.
Do you think that will deter women from voting for you?
No, I don't think so, because I think the whole thing, just so you understand, ready? I never met this woman. I never saw this woman. This woman said, I met her at the front door of Bergdorf Goodman, which I rarely go into other than for a couple of charities. I met her in the front door. She was about 60 years old, and this is like 22, 23 years ago. I met her in the front door of Bergdorf Goodman. I was immediately attracted to her, and she was immediately attracted to me. And we had this great chemistry. We're walking into a crowded department store. We had this great chemistry, and a few minutes later, we end up in a room, a dressing room of Bergdorf Goodman, right near the cash register. And then she found out there were locks on the door, so she said, I found one that was open. She found one. She learned this at trial. She found one that was open. What kind of a woman meets somebody and brings them up, and within minutes, you're playing hanky-panky in a dressing room, okay? I don't know if she was married then or not. John Johnson, I feel sorry for you, John Johnson.
Mr. President.
After this aired, Carroll's team amended their court filing, saying, quote, "This conduct supports a very substantial punitive damages award in Carroll's favor, both to punish Trump, to deter him from engaging in further defamation, and to deter others from doing the same." And that's the part that Donald Trump doesn't seem to grasp. The whole point of punitive damages that Trump was forced to pay in the initial defamation case was to punish him and deter him from future defamation. And yet, what did Donald Trump do within 24 hours of getting hit with the verdict, he engaged in more defamation. And what did he do again on Truth Social? More defamation still, which is why E. Jean Carroll is now basically saying, clearly Donald Trump has learned nothing from those inadequate punitive damages imposed in the first trial, so clearly we have to increase that amount. And while we don't know what number she'll be awarded in the end, the goal is obviously to reach a point where the punishment is felt enough to actually deter Trump from defaming anyone in the future. And so while we don't know how high that number has to creep up to finally make Trump notice, it certainly is going to be high. And that's a point I discussed with former federal prosecutor Glenn Kirshner as part of our YouTube-only legal series, The Legal Breakdown.
But I really think this one is just going to be about the damages, how much Donald Trump should be made to pay. I think E. Jean Carroll has upped the ask to $10 million, if I'm not mistaken. And I could easily see the jury doubling the $5 million verdict they awarded E. Jean Carroll in the last trial. Why? Because after the jury handed down its verdict in favor of E. Jean Carroll, Donald Trump ran out to the cameras and did it all over again, defamed her all over again. Nobody will ever accuse Donald Trump of learning from his mistakes.
Yeah, well, someone should let Susan Collins know. Glenn, given the fact that Trump did already lose that first defamation case, is there any plausible deniability he has here? Is there any defense that he has here that could result in this case being any different for him?
Zero. The only thing he can do is play for a hung jury, try to pick off a juror or two, hang the jury, and then force it to a retrial. But he has no defense on the facts or the law.
And is this the kind of thing where so long as Donald Trump wants to continue going out and defaming E. Jean Carroll, she can just continue bringing these suits? And I mean, because they've already been litigated, the contents of these suits have already been litigated, she can just basically go in and just request a higher number each time?
Yeah, it's like it becomes boilerplate litigation, do the same thing over and over again and just, take more money from Donald Trump, which frankly, I'm okay with.
And it's not just the money. It's also the fact that Trump is making a mockery of the legal system by so quickly and publicly discarding the verdict. E. Jean Carroll's attorney, Roberta Kaplan, said, "It makes a mockery of the jury verdict and our justice system if he can just keep on repeating the same defamatory statements over and over again." And of course, it isn't just this case where Trump has displayed his disdain for the legal system, and the fact that he's contending now with 3 indictments and well over 70 charges so far, with at least one more indictment very likely on the way, is a testament to the fact that that same legal system is now operating to finally hold him to account for those very crimes he committed, which, by the way, is a pretty clear testament to how the leader of the self-proclaimed Law and Order Party actually feels about law and order. So while I'm certain that there is nothing that'll compensate for the pain that E. Jean Carroll has had to endure, it's at least some consolation to see her deliver this perpetual routing to Donald Trump in court. He may have spent his entire life getting away with his crimes, but it seems to be coming to an end now, in no small part thanks to Carroll and her legal team. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to the channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.